The one thing the property's always lacked is somewhere nice and bright. We didn't actually ever think we'd be able to do this type of thing with it being a listed property. Once we got Al round and he kind of said what he thought we would be able to do, you know, under the regulations of it being listed and all the rest of it, we were like, well, let's try, let's have a go.
What he did, he took us out there and he showed us different superimposed images basically on the back of this property of similar sort of orangeries, extensions that he'd done.
Yeah, it's quite clever how he does it, because he's got a vast array of photographs that he can then look at what actually would suit this, and just to give you a feel of what it would look like. What it eventually turned out like was exactly like the very original.
Yeah, the very first day that he came,
the very first.
like I say, he showed me them photographs.
Yeah.
That's the final look, to be honest, with a few additions to it, you know. But the main thing for me to get it off the ground was to get the consent of the authorities to do this sort of work on a listed property. So he took that responsibility with the drawings he took away, etc.
Well, the main thing was the orangery itself. There were certain features that we had to keep because of the listed, like the beams and things. They just couldn't have been more helpful in the whole project.
And the doors, just when they're open, they just lend itself into the garden donor space. It's just as one.
I suppose one of the other features as well, that's maybe a bit more unique, is the wall behind us. I originally wanted it to keep the original exposed brickwork, but Al, rightly so, he's always right in the end. But he said, it won't look good. There's too many defects by the time you're doing electricals and all of the things. He did suggest, possibly using Venetian plaster, which again has worked really well. I would never have dreamed of doing that in a million years.
They were just alpha right from day one, weren't they?
I mean, I'm thinking, for example, the radiators. I mean, these radiators, like cast iron, they weigh an absolute ton. The day they were getting fitted, one was leaking, wasn't it? Al and one of his team were here till 5:30 or something like that, 6 o'clock that night, still messing on with this radiator to get it right.
You're not relying on different people coming in. It's one team that comes in basically and does everything, and that's the beauty of it, I think.
Genuinely wants to do a good job, and has a lot of pride, doesn't he, in what he does.
Yeah.
I can't sort of emphasise enough what a difference it's made to how we use the house. We just literally live out here all the time. I mean, the garden's just part of the room. Honestly, it's just got a completely different feel about it. There were so many different craftspeople involved that it would have been really stressful to try and coordinate everybody in order to get the jobs done in a sequence without delays between each of them. The build directory just took away all of that anxiety. So they did, they planned it, they did the building itself, they did the patio, they resolved damp proofing issues for us, the flooring, all the plumbing. Yeah, so the build directory are definitely a one-stop shop for home improvements in the North East, I would say.